So calm. Yo, yo. What up, Robert, Alicia, Myra, Maria, Freddie, Midnight? Hey, great today. Great today, chat. How you doing? What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Just chilling. What's up? I'll stand by tonight. Hey, have a great night. Have a great night. Like a peaceful night. Hi. Okay, so I got this list of words, and what? Yeah, I want to know something. Yeah, I got a list of words, and I want to keep it to the words that I think may promote um, mm, that may be helpful. Yeah, that's perfect. A list of words that may be helpful. Um, just something creative that I thought about doing, and maybe keep off of the words that I don't want to catch myself using. That's all. How long will the list be of uh, impactful words? So far, I got like one page, and they all got to be different words. Different words with other meanings. What's the word? Rhyme. It. Yeah. But I have explore, imagination, culture, economics, productivity, library, reading, learning, information. So rhyme is great. Rhyme is great. I don't have rhyme. Draw Brazil. That was the activity. Thought I would share that. Somebody get your notebook out and notebook. Not quite objects. Like I'm not quite looking for objects. Anything will be fine, but if I do objects, I'll have a million different objects. So I'm thinking about right, the word right, and I don't see right anywhere. So I'm gonna write right. Thank you for subscribing. And I will write down gratitude, of course. I don't see gratitude. Graditude. What's up? Thanks for the like. Thanks for being here. Gratitude. Right. Speak. I like this list. It's like a list of things I will improve. Improvement. IMPROVEMENT. What's up? Who's here with me? It's me. It's live on the iPad. Hey, Shyla, isn't that a bad guy? Hey, Shyla. Hey, Lainey. That was great. Hey. Ooh. These comments don't stay on the screen. ponder. We're leaving word. What's the word? How many Canadians are here, chat? Anybody here? Canadian? I know somebody. How was the tornado warning? Yeah, it was. It really was a tornado warning. It, we were in the restaurant and it was raining so bad. Can't believe I didn't really take a video, but we were pretty much stuck in the restaurant for an hour because of the rain. It was so heavy. And now I think I should reheat some of that food that I forgot about. What's up, Canada, America? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? What's up? What's up? What's up, North America? Have you ever heard the siren? Yeah, I think so. Or no. No, I've never heard the siren. Like the tornado siren thing. Alright, so here's where here's where I'm at in America. I think it's cool that they show you the darkness of the world. Like some of you guys are over here. Oh my gosh. Enjoy the day. You guys are like over here, all in the sun. Enjoy the day. Have a good one. It's dark over here. 9 o'clock coming up. Hamburger. France. Alright, let me see. France. Okay. Oh, it's dark. Good night, France. Are you serious? Have a great day tomorrow. Africa, good night. South America, good night. Asia, good morning. Australia, have a great day. What up, North America? That's interesting, because hey, all right, let's see. Game over? It's not game over. It's cool. It's alright. It's alright. I'll heat up that food. I'm gonna bring it right back here. Bring the food right back here. Which brings me to my next word, nutrition. Nutrition. Not to be messed around with. Nutrition. Alright, that'll bring me to my next word. Careful. Bring me to my next word, which will be light. Take your time. What am I doing? Oh, I'm just writing. I got a list of words. Just how many words can I write? Can I fill a notebook with words? Sure I can. But that's a lot of pages. That's a lot of pages. Rickster. Ooh, I'm gonna write that one down. Sake. Oh, what's up, though? Ramsey. What's up, everybody? Have a good one, man. Excuse my voice. Sometimes I got that streamer tone. Hey, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Because I think I only got a few moments to say what's up, and just it carries on to the next person, It's great to have you guys around, swiping around, saying what's up. Have a good one, man. Ladies, gentlemen, scroll people, whoever it is. The world. That page said, yeah, for sure. But did you subscribe? Yeah, I didn't think I wrote down attitude. Okay, it's like a list of words that I would rather improve that I'm gonna improve. Like, I don't, light. Like, be a light to somebody. Or light. It's a good word. Spirituality, explore, imagination, blunt, curiosity, brilliance, give, receive, contribute, self-esteem, respect. Self-esteem is like the only two double word. So are we counting that? Anybody want to chime in? Do we count self-esteem for the list of words? Anybody want to chime in on that? Self-esteem should count it as a word. Brother Logan got the new Nintendo Switch 2. Let's go. Maybe not long one, but yeah. Same. That's what it is. Grow a beard. Um, Darkness, then redness, then whiteness. What? What are you? Attitude. Make. 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 Does that count? I used to be so good. I used to be so good at it. Well, I can't see. Do a magic trick. That's funny. I'm, yeah, I'm about to go heat. I'm about to go reheat food, and I'll be right back. I, I can you hear me? I'm about to make food up here. Oh no. I forgot something. Hey. Arukba. Hello.
I was feeling hopeless, I was feeling broken, didn't see where I was going,
Gotta
almost
have
fell
something
apart.
playing.
That is when I found you, you could see right through
Trending
me,
tracks.
pull me from the darkness, save me from the start. I might be reaching for
No,
the
this is from
stars, but whenever
a
I'm
place
with
called
you, doesn't matter
BJ's
where I am, I follow the
Food.
voices in my heart. I feel you're always here by my side. I know that you are glorious.
God bless you guys. Thank you so much. For just like, you know, peeping, checking out.
이전에 내가 아냐 난 돌아가지 않아 공허했었던 그 수많은 밤을 말이야 아무도 없던 내게 따스히 다가와준 그 모든 의미를 난 잊지 않아 I might be reaching for the stars but whenever I'm with you doesn't matter where I am I follow the voices in my heart I feel you're always here by my side. I know that you are glorious, glorious. I know that you are glorious. I'm all in this time, all in this time. On top of the world, save every moment. Nothing can break us apart. Let us show. To the tune, do whatever I like because I have you right by my side. All ups and downs I've been through, everything just makes sense with you. Now nothing's
Pickle.
impossible.
I like
I
pickles.
feel unstoppable. You're the light. The light in my life. I'm all in the stars.
Oh, it's perfect. Dang. What's up? You! How's your day? I hope you had a great day. Fish sandwich. Hey, it's on. Hi. It's the tartar sauce for me. This is why I write things down, or I think it's good to write things down. This is why I think it's good to write things down. When you write things down, that's when you write things down, maybe something you want to accomplish, a goal, or something to do, it makes it serious. You can't add an emoji. I mean, you can, but whatever. But it just makes it serious. Forget the emoji comment, but when you write it down, it makes it more sincere and serious. Which, excuse me, but writing when you hold on. When you write it down, when you jump, you're working your legs. When you write, you're working your mind. And there is an improvement when you write, you know what I mean? I'm pretty interested in things you can improve on, like writing and development. Which makes me happy to say I see excuse my stomach. I see many of my subscribers developing their channel, gaining subscribers, and that's great. It's nice to see people develop and be in that environment. Good morning, bro. Thanks for saying I love your hair. Shout out to Elliot. Keep it up on track. Keep it on track. Shout out to Laney. Keep it on track. Shout out to Wesley. Keep it on track. If you want me to personalize that message for you, I will. Say, hey, bro, can you personalize a message for me? Yes, it was fish. Until they fried it and turned it into fried fish. Then I turned it into no fish. And the next word is prayer. I found this book for free. Hi, Steph. Hello. Hello. Shout out to Steph. Like and sub. The fact that God gave us Christ is the best news of all. For people suffering under the burden and guilt of sin and knowing the holiness of God need desperately to know that God will forgive. Jesus taught that by repentance before God and obedience to Him, His forgiveness would be found. He said, joy shall be in heaven over one sinner that repenteth. In his story of the Pharisees and the publican, he who went up to the temple to pray, Jesus made plain that the humble request of the publican, God be merciful to me, a sinner. Luke 18:13. Brought justification to this man. Jesus also taught that the forgiving nature of God should heal us to forgive the wrongs done by us to us by others. In the prayer he taught the disciples are the words, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Matthew 6:12. When Peter asked how many times a man should forgive an erring brother and suggested 7 times, Jesus responded with 70 times 7. Matthew 18:22. This is not to be taken as 490 times, but rather that real forgiveness is extended without keeping accounts. In this way, is divine forgiveness offered to us. We have seen now that Jesus taught about God not in abstract terms, but in very practical, concrete ways. He, in his person, was the living demonstration of the Father. God's grace, love, and concern and mercy are shown in the actions of Jesus, the Son. Truly, if we have seen Jesus, we have seen the Father. Yeah, cool. Cool. What Jesus taught about sin. Jesus' mission was made clear to Joseph when the angel said, "And thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins." Matthew 1:21. His name, his name, his ministry, his sacrifice, his resurrection, his reign at the right hand of the Father are all connected with the problem of sin. He himself declared that he had come to seek and to save that which was lost. Interesting. Luke 19:10. His coming to the world stands both as the supreme example of God's love and concern, and also as the supreme example of God's indictment of man. For obviously, if man had not been terribly corrupted, such a great deed on God's part would not have been necessary. Okay? The nature of sin. Sin is personal. How did Jesus explain the nature of sin? What did he have to say about the source of human wrongdoing? Right off, we can say that Jesus saw sin as personal. His ministry was to people as individuals. He did not come to seek and save society, but persons. This is instructive, for it has a direct relationship to the fact that he taught that sin was in the person. He taught that sin is not on the outside of men, but on the inside. He said, "Out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies." Matthew 15:19. He was answering the attack of the Pharisees, who criticized him because his disciples did not follow their ritualism about the ceremonial cleansings before meals. Jesus was showing them that evil is not on the outside of people. Later, Jesus severely condemned them because their lives were like a whitewashed gravestone, with the inside filled with the bones of dead men. In the Sermon on the Mount, he taught, "A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit." Matthew 7:18. The point is plain. The problem the problem in the world is not that we get bad fruit, but that we have bad trees. Often now men explain evil actions by saying that society is at fault, that we have not instructed people rightly. In their words, if men knew the right, they would do it. Jesus said that the trouble was in the heart. Okay, but what is this corruption and what has gone wrong? Alright. Rebellion. Jesus taught that men had the power of choice and that he had exercised his power in rebellion against God. And Jesus taught that men had the power of choice and that he exercised this power in rebellion against God. In no simple statement did he say men has the power of choice, but he preached that men should repent and believe the gospel. In this action, he was directly appealing to men's power to make decisions. In his marvelous story of the prodigal who left home to seek a life free from the father and his family, he showed a boy deciding to do something. Here is the picture of a boy rebelling in the ways of the family and deciding to break loose. This is Jesus' picture of men away from God the Father. The account in Genesis is the same to the story of the man as asserting his will against God's will. You see that the deed is not as important as the act of the will that leads to the deed. You see that it is the rebellion against God which provided root for the deed. Behind such rebellion is unbelief. Simple. Adam and Eve believed Satan more than they believed God. They listened to his challenge. Yeah, halt, God said. They got the idea that God was holding out on them, that if they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that they would be equal with God. Unbelief caused them to center their interests in themselves. God no longer held the central point of importance. Now they wanted to be equal with him. At that moment, they had rebelled even before the fruit was eaten. Jesus preached that men should repent. In this, we can see he maintained that men were responsible. He held that men were responsible for believing, telling his disciples that the mission of the Holy Spirit, he said that the Spirit would convict the world with respect to three things: sin, righteousness, and judgment. Then he explained, of sin, because they believe not on me. John 16:9. Why is it a sin not to believe? Because God has given his Son. He has provided evidence concerning him. When we hear the gospel and we faced with the necessity of making a decision to yield to God or rebel, unbelief is rebellion. Yielding to Satan. But something more is involved in this. Jesus taught that the activity of Satan was to tempt people and lead them away from God. He said Satan was the prince of this world. John 12:31, 16:11. And Jesus attributed to Satan's activity at least some human. Jesus attributed to Satan's activity at least some human illness. When he had healed a woman who had been bound with a spirit of infirmity for 18 years, he challenged his critics who condemned him for healing the Sabbath on the Sabbath. Thou hypocrite, don't not each one of you on the Sabbath loose his ox or his ass from the stall and lead him away to watering? And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound, lo, these 18 years he loosed from his bond on the Sabbath day? Luke 13:19, 15. through 6 and 16. Although although this indicates Satan, although this indicates, I know what you might be thinking. You need a drink. Healing on the Sabbath. Although this indicates Satan's power in the world as its prince, it does not lead to the conclusion that Jesus taught an illness to be the result of sin. Some have thought that his words in the 9th chapter of John suggest, when asked by the disciples, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus said, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but the works of God should be made manifest in him. 12 John 9:2-3. This leaves one feeling that the reason of the man's blindness was that God had arranged this for his glory. However, remembering that the punctuation is arbitrary, let us remove the period at the end of the verse 3. Then the passage reads, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me. Read this way, the passage means that the blind man presented the challenge to Jesus' ministry of mercy. He does not suggest that the man or his parents are guilty of sin. The blindness is not a punishment, but it's a fact to be dealt with. We have seen now how Jesus taught that sin was not just acts that were wrong, but inner decisions that are wrong. Sin is man's rebellion against God. Just what is the effect of this kind of rebellion? What happens to a man when he stands against God? Jesus taught about this too. The effect of sin separates from God. The fact that Jesus came seeking the lost proves that man is away from God. He is alienated by his sins, separated from the Father. The parable of the lost coin, the lost sheep, the wayward boy. Luke 15, although told primarily to show that God seeks for the lost, prove conclusively as well that man is lost. Separates from others, but sin does more than separate a man from God, because rejection of God causes man to become self-centered. He soon becomes separated from others also. One out of the 3 American marriages ends in a divorce court. We are told that 1 of every 10 Americans will become mentally ill. We consume tons of drugs, gallons of alcohol, and raise clouds of smoke. On and on could recite the dreary result of sin. Nation stands against nation. Crime is rampant. Why? Sin has separated man from man. Disintegrates the personality, but deeper still lies the problem of sin as a force for the disintegration of the person. Inner power is gone from the human when, by the separation from God, he loses his power to understand himself and his destiny. Loneliness sets in, anxiety comes, all kinds of things threaten. Then man lash out at others. They drug themselves, get drunk, or try by ceaseless activity to escape inner dissatisfaction. Jesus said that he had come to save the lost. The word save means to heal, to make whole. Sin leads to this spiritual illness. corrupts lives. This spiritual illness, sin, leads to the corruption of life. Jesus showed how Jesus showed how the man who grows self-centered will idolize riches. He pictured the rich farmer storing up wealth. He challenged a Luke 12:16-19. He challenged a rich young man to sell his goods. He reminded us that the deceitfulness of riches may choke out the gospel seed in one's life. But this is one kind of adultery. Sin may cause a man to love the chef's seats in the synagogues, or the chief seats in the synagogue. Not the chefs, the chiefs. The chief seats in the synagogue. He may want greetings in the markets. He may give alms to be seen of men, and even pray so that others may praise him. Jesus told of the man who prayed with himself, proudly invoking God and criticizing his neighbors. Certainly, the sensualism and materialism of our time is a result of sin. Man away from God imagines and invents evil. His corrupt conscience is like a ship's compass overcome by a strong local magnetic field and unable to respond to the great polar magnetic field. The conscience overcome by sin no longer responds to the guidance of God. Confused by the pull of evil forces, the conscience cannot guide the man in obedience to God. The sinner is thus enslaved. Jesus said, "Whoever committeth sin is the servant of sin." Serve sin. He came to break this bondage. His mission, he said, was to preach deliverance to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. We all know by experience and observation how powerfully the chains of sin fasten upon our lives. The enslavement is real. Brings feelings of guilt. A further effect of this lost estate caused by sin is guilt. Wrong action brings guilty feelings. Adam and Eve hid from God as they had violated his law. The guilt is real. It is not to be relieved simply by calling it an illusion. Guilt is not to be explained as a result of social disapproval. It is a result of being out of tune with God. Yes, the frantic efforts of men to propitiate God by good works, sacrifices, religious exercises, or even bodily tortures and privation demonstrates the effect of sin. The guilty soul either tries to escape God or bury him off. Sin brings eternal condemnation. Finally, we must recognize that Jesus plainly taught that sin destroys and separates man from God in the world to come. We can read about this in his prophecy of the final judgment in Matthew 25. He makes it perfectly clear that when he returns, he will sit on the throne of judgment, and when the judgment is complete, some will go away into eternal punishment and some into eternal life. Sin, then, can never be looked upon as a matter of indifference. It is deadly now. It is deadly in eternity. Deadly here, deadly there. Jesus came to meet this problem of sin. He faced the problem squarely. He never minimized it, what it did to human life. But he knew the answer. He had the answer. He was the answer. It was to this answer that we give our attention in the next chapter. Why is sin the explanation for the incarceration? In what ways does sin affect persons? Okay. We got this book. What Jesus taught about his return. Jesus answered many questions during his earthly ministries, and possibly the most extensive answer of all was the one he gave to the disciples questioning concerning the destruction of Jerusalem and his return. The circumstances around the question and the answer are significant. Jesus had just given his lament over Jerusalem. The disciples standing with him had heard him cry out, O Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. For I say unto you, ye shall not see me henceforth, till ye shall say, Blessed is that he that cometh in the name of the Lord. The disciples concerned about Jesus' words, pointing out the temple buildings, as if to say, see, Master, these buildings indicate the stability of Jerusalem. Jesus responded, There shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Matthew 24:2. The disciples bursted with curiosity, asked about questions. Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Matthew 24:3. Jesus' prophecy that the temple would be raised was shattering to them. Jesus' prophecy that the temple would be raised was shattering to them. It was terribly difficult for Jews to contemplate another destruction of the temple. The very thought of it was horrible to the Jewish mind, but Jesus was plainly telling them that the temple was doomed. They immediately connected the destruction signs of his coming and the end of the world, probably thinking that they must be a series of events following in rapid succession, that they knew about his return already for some of the parables of the kingdom, the tares, Matthew 13, verse 24, 30, 36, 43, the net, Matthew 13, 47, 50, made it clear that he would come again. Of course, they also had just heard him talk about this in his lamentation. While the disciples connected the events together, Jesus disconnected them. He answered the questions in order, but he made it plain that they were separate events. It is not within our purpose here to discuss the prophecy about the destruction of the city. This prophecy was fulfilled with terrible exactitude in AD 70 when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. Verses 3:28 give this prophecy the answer to the question part of the disciples' question. The second part of their question concerned the sign of thy coming. Verse 29 deals with the second part. The verse is symbolic. The mention of the sun being darkened, the moon not giving light, and other powers in the heavens being shaken seems to refer to changes in the nations of the world. That is the whole of history between Jerusalem's fall and Jesus' coming. Whether or not this is the right interpretation of the symbols can be argued, but comparison with scriptures like Haggai 2:6 gives support to this view. If this is the correct view, then his use of immediately in the answer is reasonable. Immediately after Jerusalem fell, there began the series of events leading to his coming. The disciples had closely connected the signs of Jesus' coming and the end of the world. Jesus answers this third part of their question primarily with information about his coming. The expression end of the world should be understood as end of the age or end of the Christian era. The fact that the earth may be physically destroyed or changed was not foremost in the disciples' minds. It is this last part, the information about his coming, to which we gave our attention now. In order to simplify somewhat the discussion of all that Jesus said about this, we shall consider the subject under 4 general heads: the certainty of his coming, the uncertainty of the time, the matter of his coming, and the purpose of his coming. Why will Jesus return? What purposes are to be served by his second appearance? This is the most important question we can ask about his coming. We are intrigued by the manner of his coming, of course, but we are much more concerned about the purpose. One could deviate at length in discussing various theories about this, but we must confine ourselves to the straightforward look at what he said about the purpose of his coming, along with some scriptures from other parts of the New Testament for clarification. Jesus said that he would come to take us to be with him. John 14:3. Paul refers to this by saying that when Jesus comes, we shall be caught up together with them, the dead in Christ, in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. 1 Thessalonians 4:17. In the kingdom parables Jesus told about the harvest of souls, picturing the world as a field. He told of the farmer sowing seed and of the enemy who sowed tares in the field. When the servants saw the mixed crop, they inquired of their master what to do. They wondered if they should gather the tares, but the master told them to wait until the harvest, and then final separation could best be made. Matthew 13:24-30. Later, in answer to the disciples' question, Jesus explained, "He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, So shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all the things that offend, and them which do iniquity. Matthew 13:37-41. His coming then shall mark the time of the harvest. It is this time that the graves will be open, he said. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Man, God, and they that hear shall live. Marvel not this, for the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the graves shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. John 5:25, 28, 29. Notice carefully that Jesus says all shall come forth. Paul speaks of this in 1 Corinthians 15:52. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. You will have noticed already that that Jesus' coming is connected with the judgment. In the parable of the tares are destroyed in the fire. So Jesus comes the second time as judge. He said, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, and shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them. Matthew 25:31-32. Then Jesus discussed the judgment. He is judge. When he came the first time, he did not come to judge, but to give life. But when he comes the second time, he comes to the throne as judge. Paul claims that Jesus' own resurrection is evidence given by God that Jesus will eventually be the judge. This will be the end of the age of grace upon this world. During the time that Jesus is absent, not only is he preparing the place for his people, but he is holding the office of priest, making intercession for his own. 1 John 1:9, 2:1-2, chapters 7-9 of Hebrews gives a very excellent discussion of this priestly function. He is now in the Holy of Holies, that place represented in the earthly tabernacle by the portion set off by the veil. Here the high priest entered once a year for his own sins and the sins of the people, taking with him the blood of the sacrifice. But Jesus has entered into the true tabernacle by his own blood. While he is in that Holy of Holies heaven, he acts as intercessor, but when he leaves, intercession will be done. He will then come as the judge. Now is the time of salvation. When Jesus returns, he will not come to offer salvation again, but to judge and reward. One vitally significant occurrence at the time of Christ's coming will be the change that we shall undergo. Paul said that when the trumpet sounds in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, we shall all be changed. This change will see corruption and mortality give way to incorruption and immortality. 1 Corinthians 15:51-54. It is at this time that we will come into a form like the form of Jesus himself. John says, it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. When he came the first time, he came to be like us. When he comes the second time, he will make us like himself. The Christian sees life as filled with meaning because God has given life. Jesus redeemed life, and Jesus is coming again to take us to himself. This glorious hope sustains and strengthens and turns the Christian away from the attitudes of despair and resignation that seem to be prevalent in our world today. It is because the Christian faith realistically meets the problem of sin through the atonement that the Christian faith can offer to the world a grand hope for the future. We are not living now resigned to some catalysmic atomic destruction, but convinced that God is in control, that he will resolve the issue in his time. Jesus will come. In the meantime, we shall be about the Master's business, sharing the good news of the kingdom of God. Great. All right. Anybody? What he taught about salvation. What Jesus taught about salvation. Jesus died a sacrifice for sins, his death necessary. Jesus taught that the actions leading to man's salvation had to involve his own death on the cross. This was the most shocking announcement that he made to his followers. He first made the announcement right after Peter had given the declaration, "Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God." Matthew 16:16. Peter had responded to Jesus' question, "Whom say ye that I am?" Had responded to Jesus' question, "Whom say ye that I am?" From that time forth began Jesus to shew unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Peter found this difficult to accept and rebuked the Lord, saying, "Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee." It was at that point that Jesus gave one of his sharpest reprimands. "Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art," and sharpest reprimands. Oh, wait. Excuse me, I like, okay, so at that point, Jesus gave his sharpest reprimands. "Get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men." Matthew 16:23. Why did he call Peter Satan? It appears that he heard in Peter's rebuke the voice of that one who he had tried to destroy him in the wilderness, one who had through the centuries been trying to prevent the fulfillment of the hour when the penalty of sin would be paid. Jesus affirmed that the way of God was the way of the cross. Jesus taught that his death was necessary. He said that the Son of Man must be killed. There was a divine imperative impelling this action. Why the must? This offended Peter. It often offends people now. Let us remember that sin offends God. The trail of the blood sacrifice, though, through the Old Testament, was a means to teach this truth. The slaughter of the sacrificial animals constantly proclaimed that sin offends God, that sin destroys, that sin kills the innocent, and that apart from the shedding of blood there is no atonement. The constancy of those sacrifices taught another lesson also. Animal sacrifices are imperfect. If a perfect animal sacrifice could have been offered, no further sacrifice would have been needed. It was plain then that a perfect sacrifice was needed. Jesus became that sacrifice. The Hebrew letter discusses this point in great detail, concluding with Christ is not entered into the holy places made with hands, which are the figures of the true, but into the heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. Nor yet that he should offer himself often, as the high priest entereth into the holy place every year with blood of others, for then must he often be suffered since the foundation of the world. But now once in the end of the world hath he appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. The high priest had to make a sacrifice every year because he could never make one once for all. Jesus' sacrifice completed all the sacrifices, for it was perfect. The sinless one was given once for all of the sin of mankind. So if somebody died that was perfect, that was his sacrifice. So he sacrificed himself because something perfect had to be sacrificed. That's interesting, because he wouldn't want to sacrifice another perfect person, so he chose himself. Or that maybe there was no other perfect person. He was meant, it was something he did. Go Celtics. Stop, man. What's up, dude? What's up, chat? Like and subscribe. I hope to get better at reading, so if I kind of like, if you're able to get something from that, that's great. I'm not reading anymore out loud on this one. It's kind of the move right now. Where did you get your attitude? What your attitude cannot do for you. What your attitude can do for you. How to make your attitude your greatest asset. Page 45. Yogi Berra has often been quoted as saying, "Life is like baseball. It's 95% mental and the other half is physical." The former catcher and manager's math may not have been perfect. Oh my gosh. is like baseball, it's 95% mental and the other half is physical. The, he does understand the power that thinking has on a person's ability to succeed. How many jobs do people lose every day because of attitude issues? How many times are others passed over for promotion because of the way that they approach their job and other people? How many marriages fall apart? It would be impossible to calculate. Yeah, it's a lot. Definitely happens so many times that it would be a high number. No one should ever lose a job, miss a promotion, or destroy a marriage because of a poor attitude. Why? Because a person's attitude is not set, it's a choice. Pastor, professor, and author Chuck Swindoll says, attitude to me is more important than education, than money, than circumstances, and failures and successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We cannot change our past, cannot change the fact that people act in certain ways. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10%. What happens to me, 90%, how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. How to choose the right track. Take responsibility for your attitude. Love it. Evaluate your present attitude. Develop the desire to change. Change your attitude by changing your thoughts. Great book. Develop good habits. Free book. This is free. I can't believe you got it for free. It'll make you $1 million. Not that it matters. Manage your attitude daily. Sweet, sweet, sweet. The big 5 attitude obstacles. 5, discouragement. Discouragement. Don't be discouraged. Dealing effectively with discouragement. Get the right perspective. One of my favorite illustrations on perspective is something I came across years ago and like to use. In the form of a letter from home from a girl at college. It's in the form of a letter home from a girl at college. Dear Mom, since I've been away in college, one full semester, I think it's time I bring you up to date to what's going on. Shortly after I arrived at college, I got bored with dormitory life and stole $50 from the roommate's purse. With the money, I rented a motorcycle, which I crashed into a telephone pole a few blocks from the dorm. I broke my leg in the accident, and I was rescued by the young doctor who lives upstairs in the apartment house on the corner. He took me in, set my leg, nursed me back to health, and thanks to him, I'm up and around again. We wanted to let you know that we are going to be married as soon as possible. Unfortunately, we're having some trouble with the blood test. They're not sure what the disease is, but it keeps showing up on the test. We hope to get that worked out quickly, as that we'll be married before the baby arrives. Shortly thereafter, we will all be home to live with you and Dad, and I know you will learn to love the baby as much as you love me, even though the baby's dad is a different religion and wants us to convert. Please understand the only reason we're coming back home is that my husband to be got tossed out of medical school because he was too busy taking care of me to complete his work. Really, Mom? I didn't steal any money or rent a motorcycle or hit a telephone pole or break my leg. I didn't meet a young doctor. There's no disease and I'm not expecting a baby, and I won't be coming home to live with you and Dad either. However, I am getting a D in algebra and an F in geology, and I wanted you to accept these grades in their proper perspective. This is a book called The Difference Maker by John Maxwell. John C. Maxwell. Um, Wait, let's get back to discouragement. Take a good look at the whole picture. Man stopped to watch the Little League big. Oh, wait. Oops. Wait, what? Dealing effectively with discouragement, get the right perspective, take a good look at the whole picture, take a short look at the problem, take a close look at yourself, take a long look at successful people, take a wide look at the possibilities. See the right people, say the right words, have the right expectations, make the right decisions. Change. Alright, this is a good book. That's exactly what I was looking for. Why do people resist change? Change is hard for everyone, novelist Mark Twain said. The only person who likes change is a wet baby. People resist change because of personal loss. People resist change because of the fear of the unknown. People resist change because the timing could be wrong. Resist change because it feels awkward. Resist change because of tradition. Preparation points for successful change. 1. Change will happen whether you like it or not. 2. Whether change, there can be no improvement. Without change, there can be no improvement. 3. Make a commitment to pay the price for change. Let's talk about that. American dramatist and screenwriter Sidney Howard remarked, "One half of knowing what you want is knowing what you must give up before you get it." Change always costs you something, if not monetarily, then in time, energy, and creativity. In fact, if change doesn't cost you anything, then it isn't real change. As you consider how to change the changes needed to improve and grow, it is important to measure the cost of change compared to the cost of the status quo. You have to do your homework. That often makes the difference between change equals growth and change equals grief. What will the changes you desire really cost you? If change doesn't cost you anything, then it isn't real change. Management expert Tom Peters gives a perspective on this. He suggests don't rock the boat, sink it, and start over. If you desire to be creative and do something really innovative, that's sometimes what it takes. You must destroy the old to create something new. You cannot allow yourself to be paralyzed by the idea of change. Change must happen within you before it can happen around you. Number 4. I love the Peanuts comic strip by Charles Schulz, in which Lucy says to Charlie Brown, oh, that's Charles Schulz, Charlie Brown, "I would like to change the world." "Where would you start?" Charlie Brown asked her. Lucy simply replied, "I would start with you." I hate to say it, but our attitude is probably a lot of like Lucy's when we would care to admit. If we don't like something, we desire change for everyone other than us. We are resistant to change. Novelist Francis Hodgson Burnett wrote, "At first, people refuse to believe that a strange new thing can be done. Then they begin to hope it can be done. Then they see it can be done. Then it is done, and all the world wonders why it was not done centuries ago. At first, people refused to believe that a strange new thing could be done. Artist Andy Warhol observed, they always say that time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. The truth is that any change that occurs in the world always begins with the change within an individual. That's why playwright George Bernard Shaw said, progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. They always say that time changes things, but you actually have to change them yourself. Andy Warhol. The good news is that once you dedicate yourself to growth and develop a lifestyle of planned improvement from the inside out, it becomes normal to you, and you notice when you're not making the progress you have come to expect. It is said that pianist Arthur Rubinstein refused to listen to recordings made of songs he had played only a few months after he had completed them. He was dissatisfied with the playing he heard. Why? Because he had grown and changed, but the recordings had not. Relatable. Decide what you are not willing to change. 5. Number 6. Remember, it's never too late to change. How your attitude can be the difference maker concerning change. Think about a change you are currently resisting. It can be a change you feel promoted to make or are currently being asked to make by others. Define the change as clearly as you can here. Next, write down all the benefits of the change. Okay, yeah. Now, wow, this is a good book. Now consider why you are resisting the change. Answer yes or no to each of the following questions. Are you uncertain of what will happen as a result of the change? Are you concerned that the timing is wrong? Does the change violate tradition? Will it create some kind of loss to you personally? Will the change make you feel awkward? If you answered yes to question 1 or 2, use the checklist for change from earlier in the chapter to explore the issues at greater depth. If you answer yes to 3, explore why you are clinging to that tradition. What real value does the tradition have to you, to others in the organization, or to the people you serve? Write that down. Now weigh that value against the benefits you listed previously. If you answered yes to 4 or 5, spend some time thinking about how improvement can come only with change. And think about your motives. Are you putting yourself ahead of the organization or the people you serve? Keeping in mind the value of the change can sometimes help a person to make difficult transitions. No matter how you answer the questions, keep in mind that for positive change to occur, you must make a commitment to pay the price for change. Change must happen within you before it can happen around you, and it's never too late to change. Okay, that's good stuff. I want to see this one. Change what happened within before it can... Yes. Decide what you are not willing to change. I have to admit that I'm a personal growth fanatic. There are a few things I enjoy more than learning something new. My father got me started when I was a kid. He actually paid me to read books that would help me learn and grow. Now I'm in my late 50s and I still love it, and when I can see myself improving in an area I've targeted for growth. But as much as I am dedicated to progress, there are some things that I am not willing to change, no matter what. Some as my faith and my values. I'd rather die than forfeit my faith in God and my commitment to integrity, family, generosity, and belief in people. Some things are not worth compromising at any price. I want to encourage you to think about the non negotiables in your life. Uh, what are you willing to live and die for? Write down the things you will hold on to no matter what, and take some time to explain why. Once you do that, then everything should be open to change. Then everything else should be open to change. Remember, it's never too late to change. I already mentioned that I'm in my late 50s. The older I get, the more I meet people my age who express regret for the way they live their lives. Sometimes the regret is for things they've done, but more often it's for things they didn't do but felt they should have done. If they ask for my advice, I quote one of the favorite sayings: though you cannot go back and make a brand new start, my friend, anyone can start from now and make a brand new end. It's never too late to change, as the Turkish proverb says. No matter how far you have gone on the wrong road, turn back. My friend, I'm not saying that. That's crazy. Dick Biggs, a speaker and author. Dick Biggs delivers a program called The Headache of Changing, or The Headache of Not Changing. I just love that title because it really describes the dilemma we all feel when faced with the prospect of change. A positive thinker with a good attitude. The headache of changing, or the headache of not changing. A positive thinker who also written a poem on the subject. He has graciously allowed me to share it with you. Will I master change, or will change master me? Life's turning points are as sure as the tide, just a matter of when, and so why not decide?